Welcome to this introduction to how to play by ear. Very often in my career as a musician and a teacher, I've encountered students who really wanted to learn how to play by ear. And they'll tell me stories about, oh, my grandmother, she used to be able to sit down at the piano and play anything she wanted. She wasn't reading music. She was just playing by ear. Ah, I wish I could do that. Now, very often when I tell students that I can teach them how to do the same thing as their grandmother did, I am met with some skepticism, maybe a little bit of unbelief. Yeah, you say you can teach me how to play by ear? I thought that was just something that people could do, that was just a gift that they had, and that the rest of us, we didn't have that gift, we couldn't do it. But I indeed can teach you how to play by ear, and that's the purpose of this video series. Let me throw in some personal history. I started taking piano lessons when I was 12 years old. This was quite some time ago. And I learned the traditional way. I learned how to read the treble clef and the bass clef, and I learned where all the notes were on the keyboard. A lot of what I taught you in the Music Basics series. By the way, if you haven't gone through that series, I encourage you to go through those 25 videos. They're all rather short before you get to this one. Anyway, I took traditional piano lessons, and I could read music. In fact, I was very good at it. You could put pretty much any piece of music in front of me, and even to this day, if you do that, I can read it. I can play it. But little bit at a time, I started to get this desire to just kind of goof around and experiment and find different sounds on the keyboard. And I tried to pick out songs by ear. Now, unfortunately, because I was raised or taught in the very strict classical tradition, my parents would be overhearing me kind of straying away from the pieces I was supposed to be learning, and they'd say, hey, quit goofing around and get back to the song that you're supposed to learn for the recital, you know. And occasionally I would improve upon Beethoven or Bach by adding extra notes. And then my teacher would say, hey, you can't add that note. It's not in the music. And I would tell them, but it sounds good. And what that was me developing my ear. And later on, it's actually kind of started when I was in my late teens, early 20s, is when I really started to learn to play by ear. I was part of a singing group called the Continental Singers. Now, I wasn't a singer. I was the piano player in the orchestra. And instead of getting written out notes, I was given chord charts. And now I had to play by ear and make up my own parts in my job as a keyboard player in a society band. I had to learn songs by ear. If there was no music available, I had to listen to it and be able to pick it out by ear. And then, being able to play by ear, of course, has enabled me to compose many songs, because you're just playing around on the keyboard, you're not reading music, you're playing by ear, and you're listening to what you're coming up with, and occasionally you come up with something and you say, hey, that sounds good, I'm going to write that down, or I'm going to record it, and later on I can write a song using that chord progression or that melody that I played by ear. And so what I'm going to be teaching you in this series is how to goof around and make beautiful sounds without necessarily having to read them off of a sheet of music. Now, one thing I've got to make very clear from the start, what I teach people to play is not necessarily classical music. I can teach you that if that's something you want to learn. But I'm teaching you to play what we might call pop music or popular music. I'll teach you how to play hymns, worship songs, popular songs, or how to listen to a song and figure it out for yourself and then be able to play it. Also, as part of playing by ear, you'll learn how to transpose. That means if you have a song in a certain key and you decide now it's too high for the singer, I'm going to be able to play it in a different key. Same song, same chord progression, but now in a lower key. That's a valuable skill to have as a piano player. And it's something that you can learn right from the start. When I was a church pianist, we had a song leader who was a marvelous singer. He was actually a classically trained singer, He didn't sing opera, but he just had a wonderful voice. But he was a bass. He had very low range. He loved to sing those low notes. And a lot of the hymns in our hymnal are written for soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. So the melody is often quite high. Now, a lot of newer hymnals have actually lowered the keys so that the average person can sing the melody. A lot of folks don't sing all the parts anymore. Anyway, very often he would call upon me to transpose a hymn like Holy, 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 or How Great Thou Art, or any hymn you can think of. He would call upon me and say, can you lower this 2 steps or 1 step lower? And so I would have to transpose. Well, that also involves playing by ear, because I can't read the notes now exactly as they're written in the hymnal, but I've got to play the melody and the proper chords in a lower key. That's something that you learn as you're going through how to play by ear. And one of the interesting things about learning to play by ear is this is going to help you learn how the professionals do it. You know, there are really 2 classes, if you like, of professional piano players or professional keyboard players. There are those, of course, who play classical music. They often have a really good ear, but of course they're adhering to the written notes. They're adding their own interpretation. Maybe they're playing a piece a little faster, a little slower, a little bit more pedal, or whatever. But they're essentially playing what's on the written page. But then there are other piano players, especially those playing pop music or playing popular songs or accompanying singers. They are improvising. They're playing by ear. The singer may request a different key, and they've got to be able to transpose. Anyway, that's the style of music that I'm teaching people to play, is the popular style, and it involves some note reading. Very helpful to know how to read notes if you want to learn a song. But you're also listening to it at the same time, and you're picking it up partially by reading and partially by ear. So learning to play by ear is not a musical shortcut, but it is a way to enable you to find beautiful sounds on the keyboard. You'll be able to play things that you never thought you could play before. And you'll learn how to discover new chords, new concepts, and I think you'll find this to be a whole lot of fun. Now, there's one thing I want to emphasize. You see, in learning to play by ear, there is a lot of trial and error, but error is not necessarily a bad thing. You're just basically figuring out, okay, that note didn't work. Why not? Well, let me try this note. Ah, that sounds good. Now I know it's going to work. I'll just not play that other note and I'll play this one. Trial and error, that's okay. You see, making mistakes when you're playing by ear, they're just learning opportunities, if you like. It's not going to be the end of the world if you hit a wrong note. And believe me, in my career I have hit many, quote, wrong notes, far more wrong notes than you could ever imagine. Fortunately, very few people remember them. This video series, of course, is appropriate for you as a beginner. And if you're more advanced in your music, if you've had lessons and you kind of know your way around the keyboard, it's going to be great for you as well. And more than likely, you've got a musical ear already. I mean, you're studying keyboard. You're learning about music. That's the whole goal behind At Home with Music, is to teach you how music works, how to appreciate great works of art, and so on. And so you've got a musical ear already, and it's ready to be trained. And that's the purpose of this particular video series. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you will like. And if you haven't already subscribed to At Home with Music, I would encourage you to do so. And that way you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. So I'll see you in the next one.